All right, guys, this is Crypto John. This is actually my very first YouTube video. And so, what I'm going to go over with you today is trend lines. Basically, how to set them up, how to use TradingView, and basically the importance, and how they play out in the charts and whatnot. So, today we have BTC to USD, and we had a nice little run up here to about 65K. Then we come back down, and we've been kind of going sideways here on this between 40,000 and about 30,000. So normally when I draw my trend lines, I like to come in on a lower time frame. So up here in TradingView, you're going to see the big D that stands for 1 day. I usually like to go down to about the 1 hour, sometimes a little less if you really want to pinpoint your trend lines. So now I've cherry picked a few of these. I cleared my chart and just so I can show you for this video. So up here in the top left, this right here is the trend line icon. So you go ahead and click on this. And so basically what we have here is you want to find like a higher high, lower low, find that point, click there one time, and you're going to drag this line out. Now, as you drag this line out, you want to kind of come across some of these points here. And what you'll usually do is pick up on at least one or two points. So let's just click there. Now you have your starting point here. Then you come across and you had a nice touch on the trend line. That's basically what you want to see. Trend lines are just like support and resistance lines. They're almost exactly the same thing. It's just that they're not like completely horizontal. They're more like at angles, diagonals. They call them trading vertical channels. Descending wedges. There's a lot of different things you can do with the trend lines. So now we had one touch here, another touch here, the third touch here, fourth touch had a nice breakout on it, and the fifth touch actually had a breakdown in price. Um, Typically, when you see these, especially in like a rising wedge or a pennant or some other form of pattern that these trend lines, usually the third touch is usually about all you get, and the third touch is usually either, a nice breakout in price or a breakdown in price. This one actually went to a fourth touch. And when it went to a fourth touch, usually the break in trend lines are just kind of like support and resistance. There's usually a pretty powerful move, either to the upside or to the downside. And here, once we cross this trend line, we come up, it kind of stutter stepped a little bit, like it may get rejected off this trend line again, like it had in the past, but it actually broke through. And when it did, it was a pretty bullish move. It moved pretty well, went a little bit sideways, and then had another leg up. And then here on the downside, it got choppy. It touched on this line multiple times here. And then once it finally broke through, it was a pretty good move to the downside. Now we're trading sideways once again. So some other tools that you can use here is this magnet button. You basically click on this, and what this does is it helps when you're drawing these trend lines to really stick to the lowest low or basically the bottom of the wick. You can see how my cursor's kind of bouncing around here. So what you want to do is hover right over there, click, and it'll lock right on that lowest low or the bottom of that wick, or the highest high if you're in, a upwards candle. So we're going to draw this out. This is pretty close here. Now, what you have sometimes is a fake out. This isn't a very good example of a fake out. Fake out sometimes happens where it'll punch down, let's say somewhere around like this. Here's a cursor here. It'll bounce down, come back up quick. Um, Now that's a fake out. Usually what this was happening is they're trying to catch stops and trigger stop losses, which will kind of exit someone's trade from the market. If you're on Bybit or something like that, trading with leverage. A fake out usually comes down and back up, usually within the same candle, if not the second candle. And I mean it's usually on a lower time frame when you see a fake out. It'll usually happen within 30 minutes. Sometimes you do see a candle go straight down for an hour and come back up for an hour. That's pretty rare. They're usually pretty quick moves just to trigger stops and then come back and then continue in the opposite direction. Um, so, and another, if just while we're talking about trend lines and support and resistance on TradingView, as you go up here where the trend line button is, you take this little tiny arrow here. You scroll down, there's horizontal line and horizontal ray. Horizontal ray is basically going to start here and go straight to the right. A horizontal line is going to go left and right. And so what we're going to do here is set up another support and resistance. This is basically kind of how I would set up my chart. So now you had a nice touch here, another touch here, let's say a little bit of a breakthrough there, a little bit of a fake out there, another touch here, and another touch here. So we are bouncing right above this support here. Um, so that gives you an idea. Price could break down to the downside or could bounce off and continue up. But then we're going to meet some resistance here with this trend line again. It could bounce between this area and go sideways for a little while. It's hard to say. Um, so that gives you like a quick tutorial on trend lines, how to use trend lines on TradingView, how to use some of the tools on here, and then also how to do a support and resistance line. If you guys like this, like I said, it's my first video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe. There'll be hopefully some future videos. So thanks for the help.